How do you find stories in your work? How do you know which aspect of your work or project will most appeal to audiences?
To learn how to better write, communicate, edit and design content, like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell.
Firstly, although you'll have invested a significant amount of time and energy in your work or the project you'd like to tell a factual story about, you should initially presume that it's actually quite ordinary, that your project isn't necessarily unique or of interest to anyone but you. That sounds harsh and demotivating, but you should do this for two reasons. First, because to some degree it will be true. Your project may be special to you, but it may not be to others. Every member of your audience has their own work and projects to focus on. So don't just presume what you have to say or the story you want to tell is any more significant to other people than what's already going on in their lives. The second, more important reason is that by coming to terms with the fact that your content may potentially be ordinary, you free yourself to view it differently, to start to examine it as others might. By viewing your work as an outsider, you can look at it with fresh eyes and begin to question which aspects are actually the most interesting. The best way to find the most compelling stories in your own work is to seek the extraordinary. Look for facets of your project that are new. Also, seek out information about your work that others do not know about. People don't want to listen to things they already know. They want to hear stories about things they don't yet know anything about. New information is by definition information that was previously unknown. And that's why news stories so easily focus our minds. Search for new facts or data, reveal an unknown aspect of your company, or highlight something about yourself unknown to your audience. Consider new ways that your work may impact others. By identifying the novelty in your work, you're immediately identifying something valuable about it. New, unknown, extraordinary facts and insights demand attention. They're enthralling. You can also find stories by examining your work and then examining it again. So ask yourself this brutal question. What is the real point of your work? What's its true meaning? How will your work have the greatest impact? What insights are you working to reveal beyond our everyday knowledge? By repeatedly challenging yourself this way, you begin to differentiate between what you thought was an important story to share and what actually is an important story to share with audiences. It's the same process writers, authors, and journalists go through every day regarding every piece of work commissioned from them. Commissioning editors repeatedly challenge authors pitching stories, trying to draw from them why their story is so important. It takes considerable time and money to publish stories in books and newspapers, and even more to commission documentaries. So commissioning editors want to be sure they can establish what the true story is and gauge what impact the story may have on an audience, and if it will find an audience. You need to become your own commissioning editor. After all, you'll be investing considerable time and energy, and perhaps money, in publishing your factual story. So you should do the same mental work a commissioning editor would do to best ensure that the story you tell is worth listening to. So go back and interrogate your potential story once more. Seek out the reasons why your work or project will have the most impact. And think hard about whether those answers will surprise anyone. If they will, you will likely have identified something extraordinary about your story, and that should become your story's focus. Once you've done that, summarize your story in one sentence. that may be harder than you think. It's a skill honed by newspaper headline writers, but try to do it. This technique is often called an elevator pitch. There are many origin stories for why it's called an elevator pitch. Some believe it was named after an incident that took place back in 1853. Legend has it that inventor Elisha Otis devised a new way to stop elevators from falling if the ropes that are carrying them should break. To demonstrate his idea, he hoisted himself up in an elevator in front of an expectant crowd and then cut the rope. But rather than plunging to his death, the invention stopped the elevator he was in falling, saving his life. Elisha Otis had found a unique way to pitch his invention and story, instantly grabbing the attention of his audience and proving the value of his idea. So that may be where the concept of an elevator pitch came from. It may also have a more prosaic origin in the idea that you should be able to convey an idea to somebody else in the time it takes you both to ride in an elevator to your destination. Either way, summarizing your story in one line is a powerful way to distill your story's value and explain its uniqueness and importance fast enough to capture the attention of a fleeting, distracted audience. That's why, when you've concluded your one-line summary, you should do one more thing. Imagine shouting out this line to a crowded room. Would you expect anyone to stop talking to each other and turn and be more interested in what you have to say than in the conversation they're already having, in the lives they're leading? This mental exercise will focus your story selection. It will give you confidence that you have something interesting to say, and that if required, you can get your story across quickly and effectively, making your story stand out. Don't be afraid to create numerous different one-line summaries. There's often no one right story to tell. Interesting projects, work, and people are multifaceted. By repeating the exercise, you'll begin to tune into how to best frame your story, or to imagine which angle might most pique the interest of your audience. Again, headline writers do this repeatedly, often rewriting headlines to the same basic story throughout the day, as they seek and find more compelling ways to summarize and sell their content. Then, when you've decided which is best, pay one last thought to your audience. Remember that a good story is not what interests you, its author, but what interests its audience. Be aware that audiences may not know what you do. Something obvious to you may still appear new and extraordinary to them. And that may provide you with opportunities to tell stories that you might naturally disregard. This can happen quite often in specialist sectors when professionals become inured or blind to how others view their expertise and skills or the work they do. For example, a heart surgeon might not think it's special that they restart failing hearts, as they do it so frequently. But to outsiders, that's a story they still want to hear, as they still find it extraordinary that people could be brought back from nearly dying. So in summary, don't expect your audience to give you their precious time to listen to a story they already know. But equally, don't overlook and reject stories that a new audience might enjoy. The more you look for the extraordinary in what you do, the more stories you will find that you can tell. And the more you practice summarizing their stories down to their most important, impactful essence, the more quickly you'll discover how to best frame your content.
All you have to do is like and subscribe to this channel to watch the full course of more than 90 videos for free, or visit Amazon to access the 450-page factual storytelling handbook.